What's up and welcome to this edition of Spotlight On. Today I have a double guest billing. It's so exciting because we're going to be talking about an exciting project called Haunting the Deep and what it exactly is. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ooh, I like it. All right. Welcome, AfterBuzzers to Spotlight On. Today I have two special guests. The first is Adriana Mather, who is a author and many other things which we'll get into, and then actress Nicolette Noble. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D. Lane. That's Karidlane. And we'll go around the table. So the first one we have is Nicolette.
Hello.
And where can people find you online?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of those things at Nicolette Noble, Noble.
Nice.
Yes.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Adriana Mather.
Welcome. So what is this song? Tell me, why this song?
This was the song that I had chosen before I ever made the trailer for my first book, which is
Ooh.
How to Hang a Witch. Came before Haunting the Deep. Anyway, so I knew that this was going to be the song that was going to play through the trailer, and then luckily we got it after we made the video. Yeah.
I was gonna say we'll come back to that.
I didn't know any of this information.
You're like, this is news to me. How exciting!
It's cool. Kind of hard to get attached to a song before you know you have it, because then you've cut all the footage, and editors really like to see something to a song, and then if you don't get it, you get to start all over again. So
She generally gets what she wants, though. So don't worry. She'll
I
be
like
like,
it.
this is what's happening. And I'm like, okay, then it's happening.
Nice. Well, we'll backpedal a little bit and get to how you got the trailer, because we kind of have to explain a trailer for what. So, Adriana, you wrote a book, How to Hang a Witch, which is a New York Times bestseller. #1, guys. #1. And the trailer, you made a trailer for it. So tell me about, what does that all mean? And what is that?
Well, besides being an author, I also produce. And so when I wrote this book, I decided that I had already written it kind of like a movie or a television show. So I wanted to make something visual to represent it. And a trailer just seemed to be the logical thing. Yeah. And where were we?
You wrote your book, and then why bother making a trailer? Was it more just to get people more interested, or to turn it into a feature?
Yeah, I think, not a lot of books make trailers. Some of them do, but they don't tend to be the movie cinematic type of trailers.
Okay.
And I always think that having some sort of short form video is the easiest way to tell people what something's about. And I also wanted to maneuver this into television or movies. So that seemed to be the right path to take, was to make a visual.
Well, it's interesting coming from an author, because normally, people are like, read the book or watch the movie, and then here you are like, I wrote the book and here is a visual to understand my book.
Oh yeah, I get comments all the time that's like, where can I watch this? And it's a constant. I mean, I have to always be telling people, it's a book. Guess what? It's a book. You want to read it?
Do you have books on tape already?
I do. I actually
There you go.
narrated it myself.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
What made you want to narrate your own book?
I'd never done it before.
Okay.
I tend to be one of those people that the more difficult it is, that's like pretty much the thing I aim for, which gives my mother agita, and many gray hairs she attributes to me. But yeah, I tend to live that way.
No, it's an excellent philosophy. I've listened to many books on tape. People in Los Angeles, we drive a lot, and I think some of the best ones have been when the author read it, because then all the inflections and points and everything.
Totally. And I didn't want them to give it to me just because I wanted it, because it's still my project and I care about it, so I want it to be whatever's best for the project.
Oh, nice.
So I actually sent them voice samples, and I was like, no pressure, but here I am.
Well, that's cool. It's like you essentially had to audition for your own project.
Yeah. But I thought that was the fair way to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that's not automatically like, it's mine, give it to me. Yeah, I like it. And then, Nicolette, you're involved with this project. How so? Tell me.
I know, I met Adriana like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I went hiking with her business partner, fiance, human.
Both.
And who I always call her husband, and I make that mistake. So we went hiking in Santa Monica, you know, the Santa Monica stairs. And then he brings me in the house and he's like, I want you to meet Adriana. And he shoves me into her room and she's laying there sick. Like, she has like 17 cats in her bed and a pig and dogs.
Mild exaggeration, but close.
I'm exaggerating a little bit. And she's like, "Oh, why are you in my room?" And she was in the middle of writing the book.
Yeah.
And then, like, a year later, she's like, "Hey, let's have coffee." And then...
Well, the funny thing is that Random House designed the cover for How to Hang a Witch, and they put a girl's face on, like, a wet window, behind a wet window, and the girl looked almost exactly like Nicolette. And it was just one of those moments. So when I saw my cover, I was like, ooh, Nicolette. And then, yeah, we had coffee, and it all went from there.
Thank you to the girl on the cover.
Now, Adriana, when you're writing it, did you have visual, though, of her ahead of Nicolette at all? Or was it more just she happened to look like the character?
That's a really interesting question. I always have some amount of visual, like some specific features, kind of the way that you remember your friends, like you know how they smile, or you know what color their eyes are, or how they gesture, but you don't know every detail like that. And so when I saw Nicolette, it was partly the way she looked and partly her demeanor, because Sam is tough and kind of a cool customer, but really doesn't know how to connect with people. So it's a very hard thing to pull off, and Nicolette just naturally had something about her that allowed her to play that character well.
Now,
you're welcome.
If you could give me a brief synopsis of what is How to Hang a Witch about.
So it's about a girl who moves from New York City to Salem 300 years after her ancestors hanged witches there. And she finds herself in like a Mean Girls situation because she's descended from the people who hanged the witches, and all the coolest kids in town are descended from the witches. So it's sort of like The Craft meets Mean Girls.
Was there something in particular that inspired you? Because you do have a lineage that's rather interesting too.
Yeah. Well, I'm related to Cotton Mather, who is pretty much blamed for instigating the Salem witch trials. Yes.
Now, was that the particular inspiration, or what made you write this story?
It kind of was. You know what? I broke my arm while I was snowboarding in Utah, and it was real bad. I mean, I won't go into it, but I was on my mom's couch for about 3 months, and when I got off the couch, all my projects had just dead stopped. And I had this free time while I was starting everything over. And I started writing, and I thought it was going to be a screenplay because I work in film, and I'd never written a book before. And then I was like, I don't know my characters. Let's write long form. And I just started writing a book.
So you never wrote a book before, and yet this becomes a #1 New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. It's not quite that simple. I did write
it. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yes. She doesn't like to brag. Yes. It's crazy.
How does that feel of like, I've never wrote a book, and then it's not just a bestseller, it's #1?
It's weird. You have these moments where you're like, oh my goodness, this is the best. And then it's back to your normal life. I mean, you kind of have to, because if you let these things overtake you, and if you let like the really terrible and the really wonderful things define your everyday life, like you are always subject to ups and downs. So it's a weird answer, but
no, it totally works.
I've watched her through this whole thing, and she's always been very like grounded. Yeah, she stays very like in front of me, at least. I don't know what she's like.
Then I leave her and I go crazy.
I don't know what she's like at home.
You're like, just you wait. She's like, is she gone? Okay, I can freak out now. How long after the book came out did you go about making the trailer? Or did you make the trailer while you were writing the book?
I made it, so there's a really long timeline between when a book sells and when it comes out. It's about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of editing. There's more editing than there is initial writing. And I would say about a year into that process is when it was really solidified, okay, we're going to make this trailer. So it came out a month before the book did.
Okay, cool. So then it's time to be promotional material, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly. 1 month. It came out on Entertainment Weekly, which was really fun. So,
Nice.
yeah, no biggie.
No big. And then it's had at least 2.7 million views.
Yeah.
So just a few. Then the actual trailer itself, was there a particular duration you were looking for when you wrote it? Like, how did you line up making a trailer for your book?
It's really hard because with a film, you have all this material that you can then cut down. But with a trailer, you have to think about not only the actor, but the visuals, and how do I get these little snippets of moments, but many of them, into a short form that works and captures her story, but also tells you like where you are and what the conflict is. So I would say it's about 60 to 90 shots for if you're gonna have like a minute 30 to 2 minute trailer. And when we were done shooting, we had about 2 minutes. We filmed in Salem. And
Salem,
nice.
Yeah,
which was awesome.
yeah, and Connecticut, at a private school over there, and then like in a 300-year-old graveyard and some spooky places. But a minute 30 seems to be the sweet spot for trailers. It's the easiest to watch, so it wasn't entirely decided by me, but by metrics.
What made you choose to do just a trailer, not maybe like a mini short film?
Good question. I don't know that I needed it. I felt like I could convey what I wanted to convey in such a short form that was digestible, that the moment that I went farther than that, it would also, in the time that I could shoot a short film, I could write another book. So there's that too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me think you could write a book very quickly, depending on how a short is shot.
Maybe.
Maybe a mix of both.
She's a machine. It's crazy.
How did you go about doing the funds then for the trailer? Or was that your own project, or did you look to outside sources?
No, Random House paid for it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then they themselves are like, yes, well, let's make a trailer to promote the film.
Right. Well, with my skill set, and I made a proposal and wrote a script and made a budget and planned everything, and they planned it right along with me, and so that was that. Yeah.
That seems like a perfectly serendipitous, like everything came together.
Yeah. Because they're awesome too. They're so supportive and wonderful. I couldn't be happier, really.
Because I feel like books have kind of ebbed and flowed of how popular people are reading. Everybody wants to read on tablets, or just some people are just too ADD that they don't want to sit and read a book.
Sure.
So it's cool that, a publishing company is like, here, let's do a visual to get readers engaged.
Yeah, they're really open. I think that's an interesting thing about Random House is that you can say, like, let's try this thing, and if it makes logical sense to them, they're like, okay, let's try that thing. So that's pretty neat. It's, publishing, at least where I am, is about 80% women.
Even better.
Yeah. I like it.
Now, when did you approach them specifically when you were trying to get your book published, or how does that fall?
No, I actually queried agents, and my agent then, this is not normal either, but my agent sold my book in 48 hours.
Oof.
Yeah, so it happened really fast. The lead up to that was very long, and then all of a sudden it was like, you have an agent, and you have a book deal, and you have a deadline. So like all the things happened in one foul swoop. So yeah, I didn't approach publishing houses myself. You really can't these days.
True.
Yeah.
And then for you, Nicolette, how quickly did things spiral into action of, here, wait, let's do this trailer? I mean, you mentioned a little bit of how you met each other and everything, but how quickly between like, hey, we're going to do a trailer to filming was that for you?
Very fast. She was like, I had coffee with her. She was like, okay, well, I need to talk to Random House. And like a couple days later, she's like, hey, I'm talking to them today. I'll get back to you. And like 30 minutes later, she was like, we're filming like next week. Yay. And I was like, what? Oh my goodness. Because you get, as an actor in LA, like there's always like things happening. So to see it like just lay out that easily, that quickly was so cool.
How was the casting process then too? Like if Random House, did they let you be in charge of what you casted? Like
it was collaborative.
Okay.
So we were mainly casting on the East Coast because that's where we were filming.
Sure.
But because Nicolette was so perfect for the character, I talked to them, and that all got approved through Random House. Yeah.
So,
and they agreed that she was perfect.
Nice.
So.
I know she's sitting right here, but how did it feel of like someone like champion you of like, hey, I want this person to be casted this way?
It's a lot of responsibility. No, I mean, she has a very like confident, knows what she wants thing about her. So I feel like she like makes me better. It made me want to like be awesome.
Oh,
Nice.
thanks. That's so sweet.
Yeah, so it's cool.
And then how much ahead of time did you get a chance to read the book before you were filming? Or did you get to read it before filming?
I read it like the day before, probably.
You
No,
were
I'm just kidding.
you were on the film. Remember, and you had it on set with you.
I had to do a mermaid movie thing.
Nice.
And so I went to the mermaid movie and I read the book in that week. And then I flew to Salem and then I flew back to the mermaid movie.
How was that going from like two very kind of different genres?
Very interesting. Because I'm sitting around for the mermaid movie and they have to put, you know, like a 60-pound tail on you.
Oof.
And it's people's job to like carry me around.
Yeah.
Like one person carries
As
my
it should
tail.
always be.
You know, it was a great experience. And so I'm getting carried around like with the book, like I'm reading about witches and like, yeah, it was really cool. It was a completely different thing. Yeah, the mermaid movie was challenging.
What's the name of it?
A Little Mermaid.
Oh, yes. Ah, very cool. I've seen the trailer for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you excited for that coming out?
Yeah.
You're like, sure. I guess
yeah,
so.
sure. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
It's always a interesting process of when things get made to when they get actually released. And then how's been the response of the trailer for How to Hang a Witch has gotten, you know, millions of views. How has the comment section been, and do you read the comments? That's for both of you.
I do, because I get a lot of young people, like especially a lot of young girls, and it really matters to them when you respond, and people also want to share their personal stories with you, which is kind of an interesting thing about being an author as opposed to in film. Like, I feel it changes the way that people interact with you, and they feel like they can share a lot. And so, yeah, I do a lot of speaking in schools and things like that, so I'm pretty in tune to staying on top of all the little ones. Yeah.
Aww.
So the response has been pretty positive.
Oh yeah, that was the
good.
question. Sure.
No.
Yeah, very positive.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful. I mean, I couldn't ask for
Yeah.
a better response.
The response is crazy. Positive, yeah.
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 Do you read the comments?
I'll read them every once in a while. Yeah, like every couple weeks I'll like go through new comments.
Nice. That's always a mixed bag too, because I mean you can always have like great comments, but then there's always some stupid troll or something saying something that you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We don't get that
That's good.
many of them, which is nice.
Have there been bad comments?
I don't
Well, not enough to stand out,
not
apparently.
enough to really lodge in my memory. But
Most people are like, "What's this song? Is this a movie?
Oh.
Oh my god!
can I see it? Will you make it a movie?
Can you make it
Yeah.
a movie? Oh my god! What's this song?"
Or
Yeah.
they read
Can
it
you
and
make
then
it
they
a
want to
movie?
ask questions, or
Yeah.
they're like, "Who is Nicolette Noble?" Or who is
Mhm.
yeah. So
When is the next book? Oh my
Yeah.
god! Yeah.
Well, I was
kind
going to
of
say,
stuff.
speaking of next book, it's Haunting the Deep.
Mm.
Now, what is the status on that book right now?
So the advanced reader copies just came out, and we just started shooting the trailer for it. We did the very first little bit, and we're going to shoot somewhere on the East Coast in June, and it comes out on October 3rd.
And briefly, what is that book about?
Well, it's the same protagonist, Sam, and she sees ghosts. So instead of Ghosts from the Salem Witch Trials, it's Ghosts from the Titanic. And
Very cool.
there's a mystery, and yeah, they're mystery books. So it's modern day, but it uses history as clues. Right.
So it's not exactly historical fiction, because that would be in the past. So it's
Right.
it's almost a new genre in a way.
Yeah, it kind of, in an odd way, yeah, because you still feel very grounded in modern day, but all of the history is, or most of the history is accurate, which was one of my better moments when I was in Salem, because the Historical Society came and they were grilling me in the audience, and they were asking such specific questions that I was like, oh my goodness, they really know their Salem witch history. Turns out they're the Witch Historical Society. And they were like, you know what, you got it right. And so now I tell everyone because I'm so proud of that.
That's a moment to be proud of. What was their reaction when they found out you were actually a descendant of Cotton?
Get out.
Yeah. They chased me out with pitchforks.
Hey, you know?
Salem is an interesting place because the history is kind of alive there. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's very atmospheric. There's like cobblestone streets and black houses, but the people remember the history like it just happened, not like it happened hundreds of years ago. So when you walk through the streets, they'll tell you like so-and-so was murdered there and we think his brother did it. Or like, you know, the ghost of so-and-so lives here and so-and-so was cursed. And so you get this like living history there, which is why it's so fun to write stories that take place there because it's unique. So I've definitely gotten some like, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more. And I've also gotten some, that name's not very popular here.
Sure. What did you watch the show Salem and what did you think of it?
I didn't. I read the pilot when they were starting to make it, and I saw that Cotton was in there. People talk to me about it, but I have yet to watch it. Not because I don't want to, just because my schedule's been so intense recently. I haven't.
I think it's all on Netflix. It was only 3 seasons.
Well,
I liked it.
I will get there.
You're like eventually. Oh, you saw it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, not yet. Okay, or not yet.
I should.
It's a good show. Now, for both of you, how did you approach having ghosts in your stories and keep it grounded instead of making it silly or absurd? So, from the writing perspective and then acting it out, how did you approach that?
Well, I've always been a fan of like a friendly ghost. As a kid, Casper. And then when I got older, I really like 40s and 50s movies. So The Ghost of Mrs. Muir is one that I love. But I think you just write a ghost like you would write any other character, except that they have more history. And if they're around for hundreds of years, they're most likely going to be cranky about it for a reason or other. And so you have like a lot more years of history to build in, but otherwise just like any other.
Yeah. I mean, in the trailer for the first book, I didn't approach the character Elijah like he was a ghost, really. Just like, because I don't necessarily find that out right away. So, yeah, I just approached it like a human. So I guess it makes it real and not stupid.
Yeah, because you don't want the, like, just, not that they did a bad job in that movie, but, like, I see dead people and just, like, how do you make it tangible for other people? Almost pun intended there, too.
Totally.
You know, that people can accept it and not just be like, oh, it's just ghosts and meh.
Yeah. Well, for your character, I mean, she's not used to seeing ghosts, and so she's like, if I see you, you're there, and I now need to deal with you. So she kind of treats the ghost just like she would anyone else, which is like to sometimes be like, okay, cool, let's get this done, and other times like piss off.
Now with the new Haunting the Deep, you're also connected to that as well in a way. Would you elaborate on that?
Oh, sure. My ancestors survived the Titanic. It was Henry and Myra Harper and their a man who was in their employ, and their dog, actually.
Did their dog survive?
Yeah, one of the only dogs to survive the Titanic. And they just got super lucky because Myra actually saw the iceberg scrape past her porthole, and her husband was sick at the time, so she woke him up and they all went up to the deck. And it's very possible that they got on the boat, not only because they were some of the first people up there, but also because people were so nervous to get into those boats at first. They were on this luxurious steamer that was well lit, and they were being lowered 50 feet by rickety little ropes into a black ocean in the middle of the night, and they were just like, I don't want to. So not many men survived, and I think he did because he was up there first and he wasn't feeling well. So I think that might be how the man who was employed by him survived as well, because he was helping him.
Oh, wow.
And then their dog.
And then this obviously has been documented in a way.
Right.
That you know that there's a document of it.
Right. So they were public figures, but they were very private people. And so they never did any interviews or anything after the Titanic sank. Wow. But right after I sold How to Hang a Witch, actually, I was at my grandmother's house, and I wasn't going through her desk per se, but let's just say that there's like a lot of history all over my grandmother's house. Like you open a button drawer and there's like a diary from the 1700s, that type of a thing. So there was a stack of old letters, and I was going to organize them, and in the stack was a manila envelope, and it just said Titanic on the front. And I thought, oh, it must be newspaper clippings from my great-grandmother. And I opened it up, and lo and behold, it was an actual letter describing how they survived.
Wow.
So as far as I know, it's the only account of how they actually got off that boat.
That's nuts.
It's pretty neat.
And the letter is in
The book.
book.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to read the book yet. but-
Yeah, the ARCs just came out. She'll get a copy, of course.
Thank you.
You're like, I would hope so. Then with the fascination with historical storytelling, but present day as well, was that something you wanted to continue then into the second book?
Absolutely. I think that there's a lot to learn from history. And so with the Salem Witch Trials, even though really everyone talks about the mystery and the clues and the villain and the romance and all that stuff, underlying all of that is a theme about bullying, because group mentality and how group silence can be a death sentence, and that it takes a community to actually get someone into a position where they're that vulnerable. And so with the Titanic, now again, all of those really fun commercial things, and then under that is it talks about like who lived and who died and why. So the concept of social privilege. Yeah.
And then for you, Nicolette, how interested are you in history with all these books, or had you had an interest in history prior to these projects?
I've always loved history. Well, I was actually, when I was in school, history was my least favorite subject. But then I started doing school online, and it became my favorite subject for some reason.
Could be how it's taught.
And then I went through this period of time where I just got really fascinated by history and kind of relearned everything I didn't pay attention to when I was younger, you know? So, but I mean, I didn't really know anything about the Salem Witch Trials.
How was it being in Salem
So
for the
cool.
first time?
She was like, we have to film in Salem. We're not filming anywhere else. You can't get the same energy anywhere else. I was like, okay, fine, we'll film there. And like if you go there, you'll get it. It's like, whoa. And staying at your mom's house. I mean, we were literally staying in like a graveyard.
Well,
kind of.
yeah. Well, my mom lives in
I mean, like
adjacent.
not in
We
a
were
graveyard.
camping in the graveyard, which is where
She wanted to help me get into character, so she
Totally.
made me sleep in the graveyard.
As long as you got a tent, sleeping bag, whatever, it's all good.
Which is where I put all my actors up. Yeah. Very luxurious.
She's like, you'll sleep on Bob, you'll sleep on Dave. Yeah, no.
No, you just gotta sit next to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom lives in a 300-year-old house in Connecticut, so it still has like horsehair plaster and wavy windows and possibly gold hidden in one of the walls. We don't know, but apparently one of my ancestors died and never told anyone where it was, so, you know.
Yeah,
I feel like you should get some metal detector or something to...
I tried, believe me, but they pick up all of the wires, so they're basically useless inside a house.
There must be
there
some
was
other
a
test.
summer where I was like, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna be the one. And I was not the one.
Is your whole family, Adriana, into history, or is it sounds like a couple of them, or is it, everybody?
They are. I would say most of them. My father's side is the Mathers. My mother, and I have ancestors who came over on the Mayflower and fought in the Revolutionary War.
She's great ancestors.
Well, you good documents to know this. So many people have, they don't care past like their grandparents, maybe great grandparents. Yeah.
I know too much almost. So
I can never know too much.
I was gonna say no,
because some of them are jerks. So then you're like. And then
well, they're probably, if they're the great somebody, they're not alive anymore anyway, so.
What did they think of your book?
Yeah, what does your family think of the books of these historical events?
They love them. They do. I don't know about extended relatives, but I do have people who get in touch with me who are like, we must be related. And so that's kind of interesting because I've never had that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Nicolette, how's your family and friend reception been to the trailers and doing such a kind of interesting project?
everyone has loved the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
No one really. I was just like, I'm going to film a trailer in Salem. They're like, why are you going to film a trailer? I'm like, I don't know. And so since it's like, it turned out so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my friends have gotten involved with her and their production company with like everything that they're doing.
Nice.
They're very talented people.
Oh,
So it's
thanks.
very cool. So, yeah.
Should we tell her what we did to you for the first day of filming of the?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go for it.
But wait, for the Haunting the Deep,
Haunting the Deep.
Yeah.
they threw me into the pool and tried to drown me. No, I'm just kidding.
You know how they do.
Yeah, I mean, it takes place on the Titanic,
Okay.
which is pretty much the coolest thing I'll probably ever do. Because who gets to be on the Titanic?
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't have Leonardo DiCaprio there.
We're working on it.
That was the only thing I asked for in my contract, and they didn't do it.
Damn.
No, but it was so cool. I got to jump off the Titanic and into water. Like, I'm falling off the Titanic, and we did all this underwater stuff, and underwater in a dress, like in a dress from the Titanic.
Edwardian.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that word.
Yeah,
What is it?
Edwardian.
And an Edwardian dress. It was amazing. It was the coolest thing ever.
Now, how far was this jump that and then you're doing your own stunts? That's pretty unique and fun.
Oh, it was green screen, so
Okay.
it's sort of pieced together in little
Okay.
bits. So there was no like actual long jump. It was sort of like pieces of a jump that were filmed in different
Yeah.
ways that when they get put together will look like
Mini
descent.
sections of a jump.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And I was a gymnast and I do stunts.
Oh, okay,
So
great.
it works out.
There you
Also
go.
a very good swimmer.
Yeah. Which
You
is why I
did. You
was a mermaid.
competed. She competed.
Oh, thus
I was
you
a
did
diver.
the mermaid. Yeah.
I was a platform diver
Ah, okay, nice.
back in the day.
Then that kind of fit with doing something with the Titanic.
Yeah, people seem to like to put me in water, which is no problem with me.
Now, where did you actually film for the Titanic bits then?
We filmed in a pool
Okay.
in LA. Yeah.
Was there any? Well, I mean, it's a trailer, so you don't have too much that you have to put in there. But
It's
what was parts where
challenging.
it's like you're on the ship?
Oh, yeah, that is, some of it is going to be close-up work, some of it will be green screen, some of it is underwater, and then we'll use like a stock footage of the actual ship itself in the
Got it.
distance. So it's one of the harder things I've had to plan because
Sure.
I obviously cannot rent a Titanic replica because that's just probably not in my budget. So how does one like form the Titanic without actually being on it? And this was kind of the most creative solution I could come up with.
Had you looked at the Queen Mary? I feel that probably be
Yeah,
a higher
they-
budget thing, but you know.
Yeah, they it does have kind of a similar look, but for the very short shot sequence, it would have been an entire other day and we wouldn't have been able to get in the water, so we'd still
Right.
have to do all of this anyway. So
Yeah, it just worked out that way.
yeah, it just worked
Yeah.
out that way.
Interesting. Have you been on the Queen Mary?
No.
Should go.
Keep
It's
hearing.
pretty neat.
What is
Supposedly
what is
haunted.
it?
It's a similar ship to the Titanic, and it's docked down in Long Beach, and supposedly haunted. They do ghost tours.
Does it move or
No, it's permanent docked.
Yeah, they do like conferences.
It hasn't
and
moved
parties
since.
and-
I think the last time it was used was like World
But
War
it
II.
was a real
Yeah,
ship.
real ocean liner.
Oh, I'm
Mhm.
gonna go.
Like World War II, I think they used it to ferry soldiers, and then like after that, I think maybe it's like the 60s or something. They docked it and left it there or something like that. Don't quote me on it. I've been there a few times. It's a pretty cool spot.
Really?
Yeah.
Someone was just showing me a video of like a submarine that does a tour of
Oh,
the
yeah.
actual Titanic.
That's coming in
Ooh.
2018. They've also built a replica of the ship that they're going to use as like a cruise. Like you get to be a passenger and dress up as the passenger.
Now, would you go on a ship that's supposed to look like the Titanic and you dress up like people on the Titanic? Would you take that cruise?
I totally would.
Okay.
But
Like an actual cruise.
Yeah, well, she's saying if they
Yeah.
do that.
they're
yeah.
yeah,
But
they're
would you
doing it.
do it? Because then it's like,
Yeah.
no icebergs, no repeats.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
like,
think
you'd be
they
scared?
take that route anymore.
Well, it'd be interesting. Be one of those, speaking of like haunted things, if you're recreating a disaster that happened,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
It's like you're borrowing trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's like,
yeah.
just thinking all that, like, not that it'd have the bad juju of it, but it's still one of those, like, that's, you might have your moments where you're like, you're not doing whole reenactments on this, right?
Yeah,
you know?
like, are there any surprises?
Yeah.
Well, they did that. James Cameron took those little pods down into the water when he was doing research for the Titanic. And I think those are the scariest thing. For a while, they opened it to the public, and you could go down, but they're like little bubble pods. Essentially, if they
to go see the Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that
if they
would freak me out
cracked,
more.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like you're
That's okay.
done. So
And so do you know what's coming up next? So next you kind of have a big endeavor with the book series. Talk about it as much as you can talk about it.
Right. So How to Hang a Witch is in line to be a television show, which we are all very excited about. Unfortunately, I can't give the details because the announcement hasn't been made.
Sure.
But yeah, all I can say is that what I know of it so far is fantastic. So I have ants in my pants to be able to tell everyone. I'm like, oh, please.
Happy dance. What's the timeline on that? Is there, when's the announcement supposed to be made?
I'm not sure when they're going to announce, but I know that everything is moving very quickly.
Okay.
So
are they looking at maybe releasing something in the fall, next spring? What's that timeline?
So
do you know?
I don't know exactly, but I do know that if they film on the East Coast, they would either have to film in fall or spring because of the weather. Yeah. So
what's this weather thing you speak of? We're in Southern California.
And you told them that they must film in Salem, right?
I
highly encourage.
Yeah, highly encourage that they film over there just because it's so unique. In Connecticut, I mean, that entire area has a great feel. But it rained for us pretty much the entire time we were on the East Coast filming last year. It lightly rained through our entire shoot, which gave me a mild buzz of anxiety the whole time. I also followed around the DP with an umbrella for most of the time, so my
Was it heavy rain or more that misty kind of rain?
Mostly misty, a little heavy at moments. So it did give a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, and there's a lot of shows shot in New Zealand that you watch that closely enough, you're like, it's raining.
Yeah,
yeah. There's specific shows I've watched, and you're like,
everyone
wait a minute.
Listens.
Yeah. Or they just turn, and you're like, wait a minute. Now, how do you know how much involvement you're gonna have then for both of you with the show?
Well, it's still in its
still development. Sure.
Yeah, I'm a consulting producer.
Okay.
Though, so that's as far as we've gotten. Yeah, we have not gotten to casting or anything like that.
Do you know if you get an opportunity to audition?
Oh, she'll definitely get an opportunity.
Okay. Well, it's one of those, depending on some big companies are like, nope, close off, you don't get anything. But if you're going to be consulting producer, then I would think you'd at least have some good, because then that would be a smooth transition. But it is depending on what direction everything is going to go. So
yeah, I mean, I don't have full control, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I have a voice. Yeah. So there you are.
I was gonna say, you guys seem really close to it's adorable, but you've only had the 2 trailer things, so is it a lot of other time you spend together too, or?
Yeah, we became friends.
Yeah, we became good friends.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Very
We
cool.
have this screening thing we do every weekend.
Yep.
Where we watch movies and things and
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's always good if you
Eat
can be
smoothies
friends.
in a bowl like good Californians.
She loves to take me
all
to.
the
She introduced me to creation. She has me do all of these healthy things with her.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'm like,
I eat.
to create. Oh yeah.
Have you
been?
been?
Okay.
Oh no.
No, I don't know it. But I did have a smoothie this morning for breakfast, and then
there you are.
I had
Yeah,
Taco
she
Bell
makes
for
me
lunch,
eat
so.
smoothies out of a.
Out of a
She makes
bowl?
me eat smoothies out of a bowl.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
And
I love
well, if
playing-
you pour it in a bowl in a cup, it's still a smoothie.
But it's different.
But then you can
It's
put
better out of a
granola
bowl.
and
Yes.
fruit on top of it,
Yes.
which makes it sort of like a fancy smoothie.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
better out of a bowl. You should try it.
There's
The next time you get a smoothie, put it in a bowl.
there's a place called Blenders up more north, and they do that.
Oh really?
They have a bowl like that.
Oh really?
So I'm like, I understand the concept. It's just one of those but yes. Well, you can still
Still.
drink it in a cup and put granola on it. And just.
And she has a pig at her house, so
That's true too.
I take advantage of that situation. I go there. She thinks it's to see her, but it's to see the pig.
And what's the pig's name?
This happens all the time. Sheldon.
Sheldon.
Mm-hmm.
From any particular reference?
No.
It's an interesting name choice for a little piglet.
He's kosher.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, the trailers seem to be, even though they're a trailer, they're still a pretty epic thing to put together. Do you work on other projects as well, together and separately? What else is going on with you right now?
Yeah. Well, I am shortly going to be filming a movie, and so she will be a part of that as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it at all or not yet?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
We haven't made the announcement on that either.
I think it needs to be announced.
Right?
It does. I'm never in control of that stuff, so I just
Fair enough.
wait until I get the email that says yes, we can talk publicly.
And then what about you? Any other projects coming up?
Yeah, at the end of June, I'm supposed to start shooting a movie in New York, which I'm very excited about because I'm a drummer in it.
Oh, fun.
And I'm really a drummer in real life.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, so I'm super excited, and I've been drumming like crazy. And it's like a very edgy movie. It's a very edgy, interesting movie.
Do you ever watch drummers on movies or TV and you're like, they're not really doing it?
I feel like I just got like actually good at drumming over the last year, so I wouldn't have known before that. Now I would. Now I would be like,
Yeah. It's one of those, once you actually have done something you know in frame of reference or...
Yeah, when I first started drumming, I got the opportunity to play like with the Beach Boys.
Oh, nice.
Which was awesome. But I thought I was like good, so thank God, because I had the confidence to make it through that. But if I would have gotten that opportunity, looking back, I'm like, what was I doing in my life? Gosh. Yeah.
Very cool. Nice. So, you also have something else coming up. You have a book signing.
Oh, yeah. On Saturday at 2:30, I'm signing books at the LA Times Book Festival in downtown LA.
And so it'll just be right now How to Hang a Witch because Haunting the Deep's not out.
Actually,
or will you have copies?
Yeah, I'm going to have advanced reader copies. So they just told me today that if people purchase How to Hang a Witch, they're going to get an advanced reader copy. So that's cool.
2-for-1 deal. Can't go wrong with that.
I know, right? And then my mom's going to tell me, like, can you shove a few in your bag? Because our relatives need more. It's like always happens. Like, I get all the phone calls from the family, which is really cute. But you can never have enough advanced reader copies when you have a family as large as I do. So
my family even is like, can you get her to sign books for us? People are constantly mailing me books, and I'm like, come on. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you going to go to the book signing? I was going to say, you should be there too. If like, I'm in the trailer.
I'm going to come to get a
You
book
should come.
so I could have my book, because I haven't
should
read
come.
the second book yet.
Or you just do it and just be
totally
like, I'm in the trailer. You want to get a photo of me?
Yeah, that would be obnoxious.
No. I was
it'd
going to
be
say,
fun.
if you can come in costume too, anything that you wear particular to the trailer.
She gave, these shoes are from it, actually.
There you go. Nice.
I wear everything. I just stay in character all the time. No, she gave me this jacket that's in the trailer, like a hoodie. That's
bring it.
red. And I wear it.
See if anybody
weekly
notices.
basis. I'm just going to like go in there brooding.
Yeah. It's like kind of a sonar out there of being like, anybody notice? Anybody notice?
Yeah, that would be fun.
Be the hardcore fans.
I've never seen you do a book signing or an interview. I want to see you do like a speech or whatever you do.
I was going to say, you're in the process of an interview, so it's a little
well,
different.
now I have, but this doesn't count. But I've never
But
seen
speech is different. A talk.
Speech
There you
is
go. Yeah, if they give a talk.
a talk.
Yeah.
A book talk.
I like them.
Yeah?
They're good. My favorite, to
Well,
be
you said you
perfectly
talk at
honest,
schools too,
is
right?
schools. Yeah, I talk to adults as well, but talking to, especially if you get like somewhere between 6th and 8th grade, they are amazing because you tell them facts about the Salem witch trials and their minds are blown. They're like, what? And they just start like screaming, which is really fun for me because I like work them up and yeah.
What's been the craziest fact that they react to?
Well, Giles Corey was pressed to death, so that when I describe it, that tends to get them going. Yeah.
Was it between 2 boards or?
Well, no. Okay, so they stripped him naked and they laid him in a ditch because he refused to plead guilty or not guilty. And it was a way to not skirt the law. And so they would press you until you pled guilty or not guilty.
Oh, so not literally. I'm thinking an object pressing him.
Well, yeah.
Getting
so
there.
they stripped him naked and
Yes.
put him in a ditch, and then they put planks over him, and they piled rocks on top of the planks, heavier and heavier rocks. And the sheriff at the time asked him 3 times over 2.5 days, Giles, how do you plead? And the legend is that all he said was, more weight. And so he apparently at some point his tongue popped out of his mouth, which the sheriff pushed back in with his cane.
Whoa.
No, this is cool. I'm
Oh
like,
my
what?
god. She's like, tell me more.
I was gonna say that makes me think of the ones where they did like the Chinese torture where you are on bamboo and they let the bamboo shoots grow up through you because they grow that fast.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's so nuts.
Mm-hmm. Go on YouTube. There's some really good like different
What's this
historical
show rated?
tortures.
You guys are getting dark.
Oh no, we haven't said anything. That'd be more. We've kept our language pretty PG.
Yeah,
But that's cool. And then, do you have any crazy facts then with Haunting the Deep? I mean, it's a different world than Salem, but any crazy, mind blowing facts that you dug up?
Oh dear, there's so many about the Titanic. Like, okay, a lot of people, when they think of the Titanic and they think about how people died, they think they died in the water. Mm-hmm. But that's not actually the case, because a lot of people never got off the boat.
Sure.
So the majority of people were still on a lower deck, like the steerage passengers were actually locked behind gates. Because the gates were
in the
used,
movie.
the gates were used for immigration, and they didn't open them when this happened, which is terrible. But what a lot of people don't know is that when the Titanic sank, it went up and then it broke in half, and then it went up again. Yeah. So a lot of people jumped off, and a lot of people were wearing their life vests, but the drop was so far that when they hit the water, the life vest went up. And broke their necks. So you actually have to hold your life vest down when you jump. So these are things to know if you go on a cruise. Everyone.
Good to know.
Yeah. But a lot of people died instantly, and then the water was 28 degrees. Yeah. So they died of hypothermia within 15 to 18 minutes, something like that.
Was any of it too high, the drop too, of like, I'm imagining like it's like a splat, like...
Maybe.
Like Golden Gate Bridge, it's one of those, it's such a far fall.
Yeah. I mean, it was...
Oh, you pass out in the fall. No, we can keep... This can keep getting darker, don't worry.
Keep going. I'll
totally.
I'll join in a minute.
The saddest part, though, is the... So mainly women and children survived, right? And they were on the lifeboats, and they had to get as far as they could away from the Titanic, because the suction of the Titanic when it sank would take them down with them. So everyone was paddling away. But then the boat went down, it's pitch black, and people are screaming in the water, help me, right? And the people in the boats were arguing with each other, because a lot of people didn't want to go back because they were afraid that they would get overturned. Like people would jump into the boat and it wouldn't work out. But if you think about it, if it's women and children, basically their sons and their husbands are the ones in the water who are screaming for help. And so no one really knew, like, is that person out there my person? So that is the part that a lot of people who survived did not live well with. That was the... That was
didn't go back to help,
Right. I mean, I know someone wound up in like a sanatorium and like never talked about it, and like there was like some serious PTSD.
Did you incorporate this into your book?
I did. I talked about it. Yeah.
Well, it's important. It's like, again, it's history. It's like you need to know what really happened,
right?
Because this isn't. It's one of those stranger than fiction of like, no, really, this is.
That's what I always find interesting about the Salem witch trials, is that it's so weird, and the things that happen to people are so bizarre that I almost think that you can add things to it, but you don't need to, because it's already high drama. I mean, they didn't just hang people either. They hanged dogs.
That sucks.
It really does.
As if the dog could like plead guilty or not.
Bark
once for yes, bark twice for no. Like,
is that in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I put all the things in the book.
No, it's great. You should incorporate that. Awesome. Well, congratulations on the show coming up, the book signing, and then other film and your other project that you're working on coming up soon.
Yes, thank you.
Let people know where they can find you online and, so they can know more about what's up next for you.
Yeah, on all of the social media sites that everybody have. Like, Nicolette Noble on all of that stuff.
Nice.
I post about what's happening. And
Very cool.
stuff.
And for me, it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and it's Adriana Mather.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for talking about all the crazy historical projects. I love it. It's so fun to hear about the true things that happened, and it's a really cool idea to take a book and then make the trailer to get people interested in it, and looking forward to seeing the next one.
Oh, thanks so much
fun.
for having us.
Yeah,
It was fun.
Absolutely. So book signing this Saturday, the 22nd, 2:30 if you're in Los Angeles at the LA Times Book Festival of Books. October 3rd for Haunting the Deep, and How to Hang a Witch is already out, so
There you have it.
all can get those on those, and then you can watch the trailer for the How to Hang a Witch, the trailer bit. It's on YouTube. So, and then I guess we'll be waiting for the trailer for Haunting the Deep once that comes out. So, did you have a projected date on that trailer?
It'll likely come out 1 to 2 months before the book, so September, August.
Oh, it's perfect, right in time for October.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. I do love me some Halloween.
I would think so, with the the macabre of history. So
Totally.
yes. And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can be up to date on all kinds of crazy, cool, and interesting interviews like this one. And comment down below and reach out to them online, because that's a great way to get in touch with people if you are interested in the subject matter and want to know more. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.